All right, this presentation is on the impacts of climate change, specifically on permafrost melt in Siberia. Your presenters for the day are Josh,
I'm Nathan.
And I'm Praga.
and this is for the Science and Global Change first year colloquium, semester 2. Now, what is permafrost? It's mostly just frozen ground. It consists of soil, sand, and rocks. It's been there for thousands of years, just being compressed slowly over time, staying frozen. And it can really range in thickness. Some areas of permafrost are just a few meters in thickness, but others can range up to 1,000 meters. And permafrost ranges vast land. In Siberia specifically, it covers 11 million square kilometers. And as you can see in this diagram here, in the Arctic Circle at the North Pole, permafrost really covers Alaska, Canada, and a lot of Siberia. It's where most of it is. But in this diagram, you can see that permafrost is actually melting, and there'll be more unfrozen ground in Siberia in the coming decades. And as global temperatures rise, permafrost is melting in Siberia at an alarming rate. Some areas are seeing a little bit of melting, but others are seeing dozens of meters of melting in just a couple of years. Holes are actually appearing in Siberia due to the melting happening in so many different spots and being worse in other areas than some. And in the picture in the background, you can see this happening. This is just permafrost in Siberia over a wide landscape, and all those holes in the background are from the permafrost melting.
So you might ask what happens after all this permafrost melts. Firstly, as permafrost is generally a rich store of carbon dioxide, this will cause a large net increase in the carbon dioxide content of the atmosphere, as well as the fact that permafrost is a potential trap for millennia-old viruses that have not been in nature for quite some time. And it is hypothesized that their reintroduction could spread infectious diseases to organisms that are completely not immunologically prepared. Here we have depicted the permafrost melting cycle. This is one of the primary concerns as well, that as the permafrost melts and releases atmospheric carbon dioxide and methane, it will, of course, cause a surface temperature increase, which will in turn create a feedback loop of forcing more permafrost to melt, and then further global greenhouse gas warming effects. So currently the rate of permafrost melt is projected to be about 2,000 megatons per year. However, the International Paris Climate Accord has projected it to reach nearly 10,000 megatons per year by the year 2100. The permafrost as a whole stores around 1,400 gigatons of carbon dioxide. And it should also be noted that the associated landscape collapse associated with all this melting could lead to an even stronger acceleration of permafrost losses than just the rate currently observed.
So how does the melting of permafrost affect Siberia? First of all, it causes the land in Siberia to become very unstable, and this leads to landslides, sinkholes, and coastal erosion. And when these effects happen, it negatively affects the populations and the organisms in the area, because their lakes disappear, as well as the fact that um, there's a lot of disastrous effects as well. An example of that, as can be seen in this picture, is that there's a lot of collapse in the infrastructure in Siberia due to the melting of permafrost and the landslides. So as such, it's not just the natural organisms that have habitat loss, it's also the people that live in the region as well. And also it's important to look at not only the impacts of melting of permafrost in Siberia, but also around the globe. So when permafrost melts, it leads to a greater emission of greenhouse gases, and this further contributes to rising temperatures. Since there's a lot of carbon in permafrost, other regions in the Arctic Circle will also experience the melting of permafrost, and this leads to a constant cycle of greater rising temperatures, leading to more permafrost melting, which again leads to more greenhouse gases being emitted. Not only that, but also when permafrost melts, you also have ancient bacteria and viruses that were once contained in the permafrost being released into the air. As of right now, there's no documented cases of a person being infected by these ancient viruses, but the chances are that this may occur in the future if more permafrost melts and viruses that we haven't had exposure to in thousands of years come back again. So thank you so much for listening to our presentation about the melting of permafrost and why it's important to understand it.